this is where it all comes to a head, and we see the transparency of everything that's been done. And I think it's so important that we all tune in and watch at least a part of it.
Well, we would hope that people will watch it the way I watched the Watergate hearings back in the day. It happens to be the 50th anniversary of the Watergate hearings right now. The difference is that in those days, you had some stand-up Republicans, a lot, who basically said to Nixon, you're out, we're not voting for you. And now you have the only two that stand out are Kinzinger and Lynn Cheney. The rest of them are in lockstep with this violence that we saw perpetrated on the Capitol. Even though many of them would have been...
They're the only two on the
committee. That's it. And the rest of them will not vote against Trump no matter what. But by the way, I just heard nothing really legally comes out of this. Am I right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, we now know Merrick Garland has not really done much when it comes to Mark Meadows, who is refusing to cooperate, when it comes to others that are refusing.
Steve Bannon, right?
Steve Bannon, when it comes to Steve Bannon refusing to cooperate. So I wonder what happens at the end of the day. I think it's important, like Sarah mentioned, that we listen to it. It's going to be in prime time, which I think is really interesting and really important. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
New York time.
8 o'clock New York time, Eastern Standard Time. But I am disappointed that it's not a truly bipartisan committee.
Well, it's not like they didn't try.
Yeah, we did try. I'm disappointed also that it wasn't... that they're sort of starting with the misinformation already. But ultimately, past will become prologue if we don't all tune in and listen. But what happens at the end of the day, ultimately? I don't know.
I think that's where a lot of Americans are, that people know that this was wrong. People know that President Trump had the power to stop a riot and stop 150 officers from getting injured and stop several people from getting killed, and he did not do that.
For example, his vice president.
And so if the public has this information, I don't know that, and this is not because I wanted to. I would like to watch it. I will be watching every single day. But because the American public is like, we know this, people have kind of made up their minds. And so people are saying, if $2.5 million has already been spent on this, perhaps we could have protected our elected officials a little bit better by spending maybe half of that on some more Capitol Hill security. Because the fact remains that we do need to protect these people more. They were trying to do their job they were elected to do and almost killed some of them.
And so I think the president should be prosecuted, criminally prosecuted.
Yes.
I mean, that's my sense. And, we had I think the Republican response is nothing to see here. Let's move on. I mean, we had Condoleezza Rice on this set, and she looked at me and said, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and I'm still shocked at that.
At the end of the day, she's a Republican.
At the end of the day. So, what happens? Would you agree that the former president of the United States should be prosecuted?
I agree that it's up to the Department of Justice. So what we're seeing right now is really just, like we said, an investigation that's going to pass all the information over to the Department of Justice, and they decide how to move forward. We can't say that Merrick Garland, who's trying to be apolitical, is choosing a side. I think he's trying to do his job and say, okay, if I feel some people have executive privilege, I'm not going to go ahead and criminally prosecute them. And so hopefully the American public are going to get this information and decide, okay, do I want President Trump to represent me in 2024? And that's a decision everyone has to make.
I mean, there's no executive privilege to criminal activity.
But the other thing, maybe there will be a June surprise. Maybe there's a June surprise at the end of it. After everybody sees everything, then maybe a decision will be made and everyone will understand why, and they can just do it like that.
Oh, I like that.
We'll be right back.